All right. Hello, everyone, and happy Thursday. Today I had deadlifts, and I went into today feeling pretty excited. I was gonna try out my new-ish belt. So I got this belt from Enzer. It's the Enzer Forever belt. It's a lever belt, so I feel like a actual power lifter as opposed to using like the super flexible belt I usually use. I got this belt a long time ago, probably up to 7 months ago now. But when I tried it out, it just felt super awkward and super uncomfortable. But I tested it out just at home, put it on, and it felt okay. So I decided to give it a whirl in the gym. And I would say on the deadlifts, it felt fantastic. Like I felt so much support. At least on the sumo deadlifts, it felt fantastic. The initial issue I was having was that it would be digging into my rib cage, and if I put it a little bit lower, it would dig into the top of my hip bone. So it was just super uncomfortable. And because of that, I just wasn't using it. But I mean, it felt fine. And maybe it's because I've put on a little bit of weight, so I'm able to, I guess maybe I have a little bit extra, material in my midsection. And because of that, I'm able to push outside a little bit more. And so because of that, it doesn't dig into my ribs as much. Maybe that plays a role. I'm not really sure entirely why, but it does feel better on the sumo deadlifts. In fact, it feels better than my flexible belt, which I was a little bit surprised about. But I mean, I'm gonna stick with these on the sumo deadlifts. Usually on these ones, I just put it on the way it felt naturally, and I didn't need to like I guess play around with the height or anything. It just felt fine. But yeah, today's training, I first of all started with an over warm up to 405 pounds on the deadlift. So that was about 80% of my training max, which is currently at about 500 and something, 505 pounds right now on the deadlifts. The 405, I smoked it. Like, I mean, it just went up so quickly. Like, I mean, like an empty bar. But yeah, it felt really good. Yeah, I mean, I'm liking these 80% over warm-ups. Like, I mean, I think they're good enough to, cause a good enough training stimulus while still not fatiguing me for my actual juggernaut sets, which I showed like right after this. But essentially, after that, I then went to the actual juggernaut weight, 355 pounds, 5 by 5, and the weights they were just flying up, man. Like today, I felt super strong. I don't know if it was the belt, what exactly it was, but everything was just flying up. Like I had to check my programmed weights to make sure these were the programmed weight. And sure enough, they were, But you just have some of those days where you just feel super strong in the gym, and I mean, more of these days, less of the other days. It just felt super good. Because it felt super good, I knew I was gonna smoke the AMRAP set. Like I just felt super strong on that one. On the squats, I did 13 on the AMRAP set, and um I was going for 15 on these ones. I was like, how I usually do it when I sort of like try to prep myself for, an AMRAP is I try to, in my mind think about how I'm gonna, I guess do the blocks. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do a block of 9, a block of 6, easy, right? Easy. 9 plus 6, 15. And when I think about it that way, sort of like is a way to mentally prepare for me. Even though I don't really structure it with those blocks, like when I get to 9, if I still feel strong, I just keep on going until I get to a number when I feel like I need to take a little bit of a breather, and then I try to rep out as many as I can. But that's how I structure it, at least mentally. But yeah, with the 355 pounds, I just kept on ripping it out, just kept on coming out. So I just kept on going. Like once I hit the fifth rep, I knew I had so much more in the tank. So I knew I was gonna get to at least 15. I was able to get 16. I actually left a little bit in the tank, probably like maybe 2 to 3 reps or something. But I'm really happy with that one. I think right now I hit a 385 for 13 last week on my AMRAP for my realization on the eights. 355 for 16, really good, especially given the fact that I had already hit, 5 by 5 with the same weight. Happy with that. But yeah, onto the conventional deadlifts. I still try to use my lever belt, and this time it was already starting to be a nightmare. I mean, I guess because of the biomechanics of the conventional deadlift, there's a bit more. hip flexion at the start of the motion. Yeah, it was just essentially it was just digging in every on all the wrong places. It was digging in all the wrong places. I stuck with it. I stuck with it still for the second set. I tried to, play around with the height. I put it a little bit higher on my torso such that it's a little bit higher on my ribs. Because initially it was digging into my the top of my hip bone. So I thought if I put it a little bit higher it would help. And it did help with the hip bone thing, but it was still digging in somewhere else. It was just extremely uncomfortable. I did check my torso right after this session and there were there were marks where there shouldn't be marks. I hope I'm not bruised or anything. But yeah, I mean, even though it provides more support than my soft belt, at least on these conventional deadlifts, it's just uncomfortable. I don't know if I can, stick with it. So on the third one, I just went back to my soft belt, and then that's when I really realized how much more support this belt gives. The soft belt felt like I wasn't even belted at all, to be honest. So yeah, I need to think about that a little bit. But I mean, I mean, conventional is in my competition lift, so it's still okay. I mean, I guess I'll need to think about it after competition. Because I do want to run a block with conventional pulls, try to see how far I can push the conventionals. But I'm sure if I play around with the belt a little bit, think about how I, place it in terms of its vertical position on my torso and also its horizontal position too, like where exactly the lever is in terms of how clockwise or anti-clockwise it is on my torso. Something I can think about as well. Still use the lever belt on the pull squats. I had 295 for 3 by 8 today, and they on the first set they felt pretty brutal. They were just digging into my hip bone. It was digging into my hip bone, but I mean with this one, I think I found a fix for this one. Um, just put it up higher. Once I did that, it felt much better. So I'm gonna keep on doing that. I'm gonna keep on using this belt. I think it provides more support. I don't know how much of a good idea that is, because I mean this is like less than 2 months of my competition, but I think that's enough time to really acclimate to the belt because it provides so much more support. Like it's when I actually use it that I realize how much more support it provides. I think the problem before was I was sort of like in between holes on the belt. So because of that, the hole I was using was a little bit too big, so it was coming out a little bit too much. Because of that, it was just awkwardly placed on my torso. So it wasn't it was just weird. It was just wasn't great. It just was, it was too outside, so it would be digging into my ribs and just was kind of loose. So I think now I've gained a little bit of weight, like it fits me a whole lot better. Harder to put on, I have to really try to put it on. Something else I noticed is I have to when I'm trying to put it on, I have to really take care not to, bunch too much of my extra tires on the side. So realize that that can be a problem when it sort of like, clamps onto the extra, fluff I have on my sides and my abs. So I need to, pay attention to that. Maybe using like a maybe wearing a smooth thing to the gym would help with that. So it would just slide nicely over that smooth thing, smooth form fitting thing. But I don't like think too much about the gym clothes I wear. I just want to just throw on an old shirt and some old shorts and just go into the gym. But yeah, after the pulse squats, I then did some Nordic curls and I did 2 by 15. Then I did the last set of 12 sets because it felt hard. But overall, like it was a really good session. I mean, besides the pain and the abdominal section. But yeah, I'd rate it something like a 4/5. Really enjoy the lower body sessions. Looking forward to the next one. Peace.